Hi guys, I think this is gonna be the most nervous video in my life. Like, it's just the fourth on my YouTube channel, but this one is gonna be a deep one. So, to begin with, my name is Nastya, and we're gonna talk about how I found God 2 days ago by talking to ChatGPT. To begin with, just to give you like a little background, I have always believed in God since I was a very young kid, but I just felt that connection. I felt safe to talk to God, you know, when I felt that I'm in danger or I was very scared that something bad can happen to me. I would always just pray in my head because my mom told me to do that, and I felt that there is somebody who holds my hand and who protects me. But things got complicated when you start to grow up and you start asking a lot of questions, and you know, life stops being that pink fairy tale. You face first deaths, sicknesses, struggles, betrayals. So at one point I just started asking myself questions like, if there is God, why do I have this world where things don't really go right all the time? Like, they never go right. And when you face these questions, you also face the part of religion, because you see that there are different religions and they have different answers to these questions. But all these religions also didn't make sense to me. The more I started to gain the knowledge about that, I was like, I don't know anything about it. Like, I haven't read the Bible. How can I even talk about God when I have no idea who he is? Also, just to add on, I'm not like a professional Christian and I don't pretend that I know everything. I just want to share some interesting thoughts that I got recently, and this is why I'm doing this. And if that's gonna help anyone, I'll be very, very happy. But please don't take this video personally. I'm not willing to offend anyone, and that's just my personal experience. Let's go. So I decided to talk to ChatGPT in order to ask these like silly questions. Here is where everything begins. My first question was, why do we have sins, death, and worse if God created everything? Why would God create also this part of the world? And this was my insight number one. I'm gonna read that part. ChatGPT said, according to the Bible, God created humanity out of love, not control. Love can't exist without choice. He didn't want to control anyone. The nature of love is free will. And you can only choose to love, and you can never make anyone love you. If he didn't give a choice to people not to choose God, then there would be no point in that. That would be very artificial. If you love your partner, you have to choose your partner every single day. And then Aladdin, that cartoon Aladdin, came to my mind, and I remembered Jinn, and he said that you can have any 3 wishes, but there is one rule. He cannot make anyone fall in love with you. And I was like, wow, it's actually a free will. And even Aladdin was based on that. And that one line, evil wasn't created by God. It's the absence of his goodness, where humanity chose independence over relationship. When people turned away from him, starting with Adam and Eve, sin entered the world, and with sin came brokenness, death, pain, and conflict. Wars and suffering come from human hearts misusing that freedom. This is so simple. These thoughts are so basic. I don't pretend like I'm a guru here, but when I read that answer, that love is free will, and that there is sin and death and all of that because people once decided not to choose God, I was like, oh, then that finally makes sense. When I was reading my Bible, I was reading about how Jesus Christ has gone through so much. Me as a very empathetic person, I was like, but why? Why would he have to go through all of that if there is a God who could have created another way of people to be saved? Maybe not for Jesus. Why would he have to sacrifice his son in such a bad way? Here is what ChatGPT answers. God stepped into our world himself through Jesus to take on the pain and consequence of sin. When I'm reading these lines, I have goosebumps. I've been taught since childhood that Jesus is God and God is Jesus, and it's all about one. But when I was reading my Bible and when I was hearing people, Christians, talking about God, I've heard like God and Jesus Christ. And for me, it was like 2 different characters in this world, and everybody praised Jesus. And again, that also made me feel a distance from God. I was like, okay, Jesus Christ, but what about that God who actually created all of that? Jesus, it's actually God stepped into Jesus' character, came to our world, healed some people, showed people what to do, proved that he exists. He literally came to prove so that people have that proof and can be saved. He lived for 33 years in order to go through all these difficult stages of life. He felt loneliness, he felt pain, he felt punishment. It's him. It's actually him who made him die like that in order to get on all the sins for people. I felt so much love. I do believe that Jesus was there. And when I realized that Jesus was actual God, and he himself went through all that hell in order to save us and just to let us see the proof of his existence, and he saved us. And now what you can do is just to believe in him, pray. And so the whole conclusion I came to, at its core, faith is built on humility, on unconditional love, on mercy, on gratitude and selflessness. And all these qualities, they reflect God himself. Through pain and loss, we actually learn compassion and mercy. Through sickness, aging, or weakness, we learn humility. Like when you're an older person, you learn acceptance, you learn gratitude, you reflect. And basically I came to the point that every stage of life teaches us to let go of the ego, because in God, there is no ego. As Jesus said, "Learn from me, for I'm gentle and humble in heart." God is love. Whoever lives in love lives in God, and God in them. I think that's it for today. That was a very difficult topic for me. As I said, that's my own personal experience, and I just wanted to share some answers that I found that opened my eyes. And if anyone here had the same questions, and if I somehow could have helped you find some answers, I'd be very, very happy.